They mocked her in the mess hall. Minutes later, her CIA badge fell out and everyone froze. The mess hall at Ridgewood Military Academy crackled with its usual chorus of metal trays clattering, loud voices bouncing between concrete walls, and the faint smell of overcooked potatoes lingering in the air. For most cadets, lunch was the one time of day they could unwind, tease each other, boast about morning drills, or complain about the instructors. But for one particular cadet, the walk from the food counter to an empty table carried a weight heavier than any gear she had ever lifted. Cadet Amelia Rowan kept her gaze low, her dark hair tied back tightly, her step steady. She carried herself with calm precision. Yet it was that very calmness that made her a target. She didn't laugh loudly like the others. She didn't brag about her scores. She didn't rush to join groups or conversations. She remained composed, observant, always thinking before speaking. And for many, especially the arrogant young cadets who hid insecurity behind bravado, that was enough to label her as strange, antisocial, or weak. As she set her tray down at an empty corner table, a cluster of cadets nearby exchanged glances. Ethan McBride, tall, muscular, and known for his loud mouth more than his actual skill, nudged his friend Lucas. "Look at her," he whispered loudly enough to draw a few laughs. "She eats alone again. Bet she's terrified to talk to anyone." Lucas chuckled. "Maybe she thinks she's better than us. Always quiet, always watching. Creepy, honestly." Another cadet chimed in. "I heard she failed her first field evaluation. Would explain why she acts like a ghost." Their voices carried across the room. Amelia heard every word but continued eating with an unreadable expression. She never reacted, she rarely did. Years of discipline had forged an emotional armor around her. Yet inside she felt each comment like a tiny crack pressing against a dam. The ridicule escalated when Ethan stood up, swaggering toward her with exaggerated bravado. "Hey, Rowan," he called, making sure the whole hall quieted just enough to hear him. "Why don't you join us for a change? Or do you prefer sitting alone like some undercover ninja?" More laughter. Some cadets winced, uncomfortable but unwilling to intervene. Amelia lifted her eyes slowly. Her calmness only irritated Ethan more. "I'm fine where I am," she said softly, stabbing another bite of vegetables with calculated patience. "Fine? Or scared?" he taunted, leaning closer. "Or maybe you just don't belong here." Her jaw tightened for the briefest moment, a crack in her composure that only someone observant would have caught. Ethan smirked, satisfied. "That's what I thought." The moment stretched tensely across the hall. Amelia reached for her water bottle, but as she did, the small black wallet clipped inside her jacket pocket slipped loose. It fell to the floor with a soft thud. A few papers slid out, but one thing drew every eye: a dark, sleek identification badge, glinting under the fluorescent lights. It read Central Intelligence Agency, Special Access, her photo. Her name. A clearance level none of them had ever even heard of cadets holding. The mess hall froze. Forks hovered midair. Conversations died instantly. The temperature seemed to drop a few degrees as every pair of eyes locked on the badge. Lucas's face went pale. Ethan stepped back instinctively, his bravado dissolving like ice in boiling water. Amelia didn't move for a moment. Her gaze rested on the badge, not in fear but in resignation, as if this was the one thing she had hoped to avoid. Slowly, she bent down, picked it up with gentle precision, and tucked it away before straightening her uniform. A whispered ripple passed through the room. "CIA? No way. Why would the CIA send someone here? She's undercover? Oh my God!" Ethan swallowed hard, his confidence shattered. What? What is that?" he stammered. Amelia looked at him, her expression calm but colder than before. "It's classified." Those two words struck harder than any insult he had thrown. She stood, lifting her tray. "Excuse me?" She moved to leave, but a voice from across the hall stopped her. It was Captain Rebecca Voss, one of the Academy's most respected officers, observant, sharp, and known for treating every cadet with fairness. "Cadet Rowan," Captain Voss called gently, A word with you. Amelia paused, then followed her to an empty side corridor. Voss closed the door behind them. The captain studied her for a moment. Arms crossed. Your cover was supposed to hold, she said, her voice low. What happened? They cornered me, Amelia replied quietly. Mocking, provoking. I didn't lose composure, but the badge slipped out. Voss sighed. You know why you're here. You know what your presence means for the entire program. Amelia nodded. To evaluate the academy, find weak leadership, identify cadets with potential, and report on vulnerabilities. And you've done that well so far, Voss said. But I can see the toll it takes on you. For a moment, Amelia's mask wavered. It's not the mission that's difficult, ma'am. It's remaining silent when they don't know who I am. What I've been through. What I'm here to do. Voss's voice softened. You've endured far more than most cadets here can imagine. But that endurance is exactly why you were chosen. Amelia breathed deeply, centering herself. I won't let the mission be compromised further. When they returned to the hall, the cadets parted like ocean waves. Fear, respect, confusion, every emotion flickered across their faces. Ethan stepped forward uncertainly. Cadet Rowan. We didn't know. You weren't supposed to, she replied calmly. But why would someone like you be here? Lucas blurted, still stunned. Amelia set down her tray, looked at them with steady eyes, and spoke for the first time with unfiltered honesty. Because strength isn't measured by who shouts the loudest, or who mocks others to feel superior. It's measured by discipline, integrity, and the ability to act with purpose even when no one sees or understands your mission. The room hung on every word. You see someone quiet and assume weakness. But quiet people aren't empty. They're thinking, observing, learning. And sometimes they're carrying responsibilities none of you could imagine. A whisper passed through the hall. A few cadets lowered their heads. Some looked ashamed. But none dared interrupt. Amelia continued, her voice steady but edged with emotion she rarely let show. You mock what you don't understand. You belittle what threatens your ego. But what you should be doing, what every soldier should be doing, is respecting the unknown. Because the person you underestimate today could be the one protecting you tomorrow. Silence filled the hall, not uncomfortable but transformative, like a collective awakening. Ethan's mouth opened and closed. Then, unexpectedly, he stepped forward and offered a stiff, awkward salute. Cadet Rowan. Amelia. I'm sorry. His voice cracked with sincerity. Amelia regarded him, recognizing the moment as a rare shift in character. She returned the salute with calm precision. Over the next weeks, everything changed. The cadets who once mocked her now observed her with admiration. They watched how she trained silently at dawn, how she studied during late hours, how her discipline never wavered. They saw her not as a mystery but as a model, a reminder that true strength didn't need loudness, applause, or validation. Instructor Voss assigned her to lead group drills. Even Ethan volunteered to join her sessions, pushing himself harder than he ever had. Amelia coached him with firm patience, never mentioning the past. She taught the entire platoon techniques the academy had never seen, methods rooted in strategy, psychology, and composure under pressure. They realized she wasn't there to outshine them. She was there to elevate them. Word eventually reached the upper administration, and whispers of the cadet with the CIA badge flowed quietly through official channels. But within the academy walls, the story became something different, a moment of reckoning that transformed the culture. In the privacy of her barracks room, Amelia kept her badge hidden again, tucked safely away. She didn't need anyone to know. She didn't need praise. She simply carried out her mission with silent dedication. And though she returned to eating alone sometimes, no one mocked her anymore. Not because they feared her badge, but because they understood her value. They understood that strength could be quiet, that power could be gentle, that the most extraordinary people often walked among them unnoticed. And every cadet who witnessed that moment in the mess hall carried the memory like a lesson carved into stone. They mocked her in front of everyone, until her CIA badge slipped out, and the entire mess hall went silent. A powerful story of quiet strength, discipline, and the moment they realized who she really was. If my work inspires you even a little, please subscribe to the channel. Leave a like, and drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I truly love knowing that.